Hi, and welcome to the You Recommended This podcast, a show where we talk about movies and much more. I'm Harry Welch.
And I'm Dale Crozier.
How are you doing, Dale?
Yeah, all good today.
Yeah.
Feeling good. Friday.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. I'm good as well. Thank you. So last week, we each recommended each other a movie. And every week we going to be doing this, and Dale's going to be reviewing what I recommended to him. I'm going to be reviewing what he recommended to me. So last week I suggested The Thing. If you would like to kick this off, then what did you think?
Okay. Basically I didn't really know anything about about The Thing before I watched this. Right? I had just seen the poster, and from what I gathered from the poster, it was nothing like this film. Like, I don't know what I expected before I watched it, but what I saw was just was nowhere near what I expected. I just didn't like.
Yeah.
I really, really, really liked it. I loved it. And it was just really, it was just so unexpected. Like, it was really tense. It was really, really clever. I really, really liked the screenplay. I liked the whole premise. Like, I had no idea that it was going to be so mysterious and so paranoid. And it was so interesting to watch, like, things change. Like, you think, like, at the start of the film, it's just so, like, mysterious, but then it starts to turn towards like a kind of a paranoia between the, like, around the cast. And it becomes sort of. And another thing that I didn't really realize either is that it really, really, really holds up. Like, it like, I was watching it, I was just thinking, 1982? What? It looks so good, and it still does. And it was just, it reminded me a lot of Alien, like that. It was quite similar, but I believe that this came out.
That's a great comparison.
So it's them. I'll give a little bit of the story. So it's basically these people in, like, Antarctica in a research station. They're from the US, and they're sort of, you get the feeling straight away that they're very much isolated. And like, you can see that they are having trouble with communications with the rest of the world, which is something that you then kind of think about later on. You're like, hang on, I've got so many questions here, like, which we can probably talk about when we can actually talk about spoilers. No, so there's these group of men that are in this research station, and they, at the very start of the film, there's like the helicopter. And the dog, and that is such a good opening, because it was just
he's trying to shoot the dog.
They're trying to shoot the dog, and like, and that I was just like, whoa! Like, the helicopter just like swooping down, and like the dog running through the snow, and I was just like, this is amazing. This is 1982. No, it was that hooked me from the start. Like, I was just like, this is just what is going on here. And then in my head, I was just thinking, so they're talking about these guys from the Norwegian station that are in this helicopter, and they're talking about how they might have gone a bit mad, or like they've lost their sanity. So, and then you're thinking, like, is that what's happened? And they're trying to shoot this dog. Like, they've just kind of, like, what is going on over here? And then once you start to get more and more information, and they start to get this thing back to their research station, then that's when it all starts to unravel and all breaks loose. And do you know what? One of the most memorable, some really memorable shots, like one of the most memorable ones is, when, like, the stuff with the dog, and how, like, it's sort of like, it's weird. I was going to say it's good acting from the dog, but, like, it's just like, it's like the dog's face, and you can just kind of tell that there's something not right with this dog. Like,
it is crazy.
But and then there's like the shot where, like, the dog kind of walks into the room in the dark, and you see the shadow of the guy on the wall, and it just cuts away. It's like it's little things like that you start to, like, then There's so many things
Yeah.
there's so many questions in this film, like that I'm just like.
You're making me want to rewatch it now. I wish I had.
It's so there are so many things that I want to discuss with you in spoilers as well. So I'm gonna try and.
What about the creature effects? The special effects
yeah. That's what I was gonna say as well. That is another thing I had no idea about, how amazing the practical effects are.
Did it catch you off guard?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Like there was one bit, and you know the part when they're doing this, and the guy like
yeah.
When I go, and that was just like, whoa, like. There was so many moments, like, and some of the first times where it got a bit like graphic and like quite like the practical effects were really gruesome, like, and it was also I was kind of just a bit like, oh, like that kind of phase, just like when it kind of hits you. And I think the first time you kind of get in the sense of it is whenever like there's the dog goes into the pen and just kind of sits down, and then it starts to.
Yeah, it's like legs come out the side of it.
And it's just like all these sound effects, and it's like going out and all. You're just like, what? And then that is when I started to think about like, oh, this is quite like the way it looks and the practical effects and everything. It like looks like Alien. Yeah, like there were so many things you can compare there, but they're completely different as well. And one thing I will say is that I didn't like there was a lot of characters, and I didn't really like. Feel like when things happen,
you didn't care about them.
I didn't really care about them.
Yeah.
But I feel like it didn't really like detract from like how much I love the film. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't trying to do that. It was more of like an overall paranoia kind of.
Yeah, the paranoia of them trying to like figure out what this thing actually is and what who or what it might be, and it's very very good. We're touching on some light spoilers there, but before we get into that, do you want to do a rating if you were to give one?
So I'll just say overall, like I really loved it. Like I'm quite keen to watch it again. Actually,
nice. Yeah.
And I really appreciated like a young Kurt Russell who was like really good. Score as well kind of was part of the reason it had me hooked from the start. It kind of gives you that sense of tone and like what you're in for at the very start, like. And I really like the ending, and I really want to talk to you about it because it kind of leaves things open for interpretation, which always makes it like fun. So I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Decent
for me.
Yeah. It certainly is a very memorable film.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's just there's not many films quite like The Thing, and I thought when I realised you hadn't seen that, I was just like, oh no, he has to watch this.
Yeah. And just one more thing in terms of sci-fi as well, it's pretty high up there, isn't it? Like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like it's such a cool genre. The sci-fi horror genre. It's such a cool genre. I really like that. Along with Alien, it's awesome.
And I know I keep saying it wasn't what I expected, but it just generally was nothing that I expected.
That's so great that we've got your genuine like 2020 reaction to this film on camera now.
yeah. And I had no idea it was even going to be so like scary, like and the horror element. Like there was parts of it where I was just like genuinely like this is pretty like rough, like this is just but and like you hadn't said anything to me about that either, so it was generally just like full on.
Yeah, I remember last week I was saying I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah, that's right. Film. And I'm glad you didn't, because it made it like even better. Like I really enjoyed it. But I'm interested to like talk spoilers and hear your thoughts.
All right, let's go into spoilers then. So that ending, how there's Kurt Russell is sat with the other guy at the end, and it just kind of pans out. If I can remember, is the research space like on fire, and they're just kind of watching it. Yeah, and explain the ending again, because I know that you're left wondering, is the thing still alive?
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that?
So basically, so they blow up the entire station, and everything's like kaboom, like the whole thing is just like whoa, like, and they're just like at the end, like Kurt Russell is just like kind of staggering outside, and he's got his bottle of whiskey or whatever, vodka, and he's just like stuck down like in the sort of the wreckage, And one of the other guys, it's really hard to remember the names in this film because there's so many.
No, I
But
can't
Kurt
remember
Russell's
who that
character
was.
is called McCready. Is Kurt Russell's character.
Mhm.
And then another character comes like stumbling out, and he had disappeared before the thing had reappeared. Like, and Kurt Russell had got rid of it. So Kurt Russell's character McCready is like really like, you can just see that he's just like so like suspicious of everyone now, and he's just like thinking, and you can tell that they're kind of both thinking, who one of us the thing.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of cool that they both just kind of sit. He just kind of sits down beside Kurt Russell, and they both like Kurt Russell just kind of hands him the bottle of drink, and like he just says something to him like, why don't we wait? Like, why don't we wait and see? Or like,
Yeah.
but then it kind of just it like pans out. So it's sort of,
it's a good ending.
yeah. So it's, you can sort of interpret it. Well, I did interpret it as they're both just sort of just going to sit there and have a drink, and they're just going to see what happens. And one of us is yeah, we're both probably like, they're both going to be dead anyway because there's no contact with the outside world. Like everything's been blown to smithereens. So yeah, it was really, really cool ending, and like even clever for someone to think about that, you know, to like actually come up with that ending. But what was your like initial? Do you remember your initial thoughts when you watched the film? Like, what?
Yeah, I just remember thinking that this film is so cool, like so cool. I was just like, I need to rewatch this again. So I've seen this like maybe 2 or 3 times, but I haven't seen it in like the last 5 years, maybe. I think the last time I watched it was when I was at uni, so quite a while ago. But the atmosphere of the film is the setting. This is like one of those films where the setting is a very important character in the film.
Yeah.
And I also love the score as well, Ennio Morricone, and I think Tarantino has an unused track from the score of The Thing in The Hateful Eight, which is quite a cool little bit of trivia there.
So it's not the overture, is it? The one that, you know, the Hateful Eight thing.
I don't.
No.
I don't think so.
We'll have to look into it after.
It might be overture. I can't remember. I just remember something was in there. But yeah, it's just a great film, classic. I'd give it a masterpiece status. It's not perfect, but it's great. It's yeah. So awesome. All right, so you recommended The Help to me. Right, here we go. The Help. It was written and directed by Tate Taylor, based on a novel of the same name, I believe. And it's a film it's set in the 1960s, and it follows the lives of the Help, the coloured women who are hired to look after the kids of the richer white people around that time and do all the jobs, basically all the chores around the house. And there's still a lot of equality is not a thing, which is crazy to believe that even like in the 60s, like it just isn't that long ago, there was that much racism, that it was just ingrained in society. And it follows a young writer played by Emma Stone, and she wants to become a writer, and her idea is to interview all the Help and to get their stories published about what it's like. So yeah, first thing I'll say, it's a really important emotional story that is told. I believe it's based on the truth. I don't know if they were actual characters. I haven't looked that up, but I'm assuming it's based on the truth about what it was actually like. And it was actually illegal to preach equality. So the book that she was writing was illegal as well.
Ooh.
Crazy. So yeah, the acting, Emma Stone, Octavia Spencer, Bryce Dallas Howard, Viola Davis, Jessica Chastain, and Alison Janney were all phenomenal. Yeah. Like, this is a powerhouse acting performance from all of them. And I when I was watching like some of the scenes, I just couldn't believe like how engrossed I was just in the acting, like like seeing them all in a room just while one of them was washing up and they were telling stories, and it was just so natural. It felt like you were watching a play. But for me, the standout actor was Octavia Spencer. She was so good, so good. And she plays one of the help who was interviewed at the time, and there's a lot of unexpected comedy that comes from her character.
Yeah. There's one really famous scene now in particular.
We'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think how I can describe it. It had a really good tone, like an emotional tone. Like this story was really important. The characters were just really well written. It had really good pacing. Fantastic acting. I've said before, it was jam-packed full of scenes where I was just lost in the acting. There's tension, a lot of tension. Comedic moments, I've said before. And the villain, okay, so the antagonist is Bryce Dallas Howard. Now, she's just phenomenal in this film. Like some of her outbursts of scream of rage. She's so good. Like in how horrible she really is.
Yeah, you really dislike her, don't you? Like you just think, oh.
She just treats like the help like they're so far beneath her. But it's obviously you need a character like that, and she did really well.
Yeah.
Good cinematography, really good editing. And then another thing that really stood out to me was the set design and the costumes. How flawless it all was.
Yeah.
It was so good. I don't know if they were nominated for an Oscar or if they won. I believe it was only Octavia Spencer that won.
Yeah.
But that was incredible. The sound design and Thomas Newman's score also added a lot to the film as well. So yeah, overall, I'd say it's an important film with really well-written characters. You're rooting for them to get their stories told. And it's just a really well-made film. All the aspects are done well. And overall, it comes together to a really emotional experience that has a great payoff. So yeah, I absolutely love this film. Really thankful you recommended it. Yeah, because I just it's one of those that's I was so intrigued to hear about what their lives were like.
Yeah.
And for it to be done in such a well-made film is just it kind of makes me, it's kind of sad because it makes me not want to read the book now because I've seen how good the film is.
I know. And good that you mentioned the book as well, because actually, like, I've been thinking recently, I'm like, I really, really want to read that. But no, I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah. Especially the acting. That was the highlight for me.
Oh, yeah. There's the 6 lead women that are just, as you say, powerhouse performances. And the ending, it just packs a real punch, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll give it a score of 12.8. That's my review. Okay.
That could be out of any. That could be out of 100. Like 12.8 out of 17.
It's open to interpretation.
Okay.
So spoilers. We'll talk a little bit of spoilers now. So spoiler warning. The ending where it really packed a punch for me was when they were in church, and it was Minnie and Viola Davis's character. Should have written this down. Aibeling, yeah, that's right. When they're going to church and then they're late, and then they come in and everyone is cheering them, and they get up on stage, and it's just, oh god, it just shows you like how brave it was what they did, and how thankful everyone is for the courage they had, and also like the pressure of what it is to be you're a white person wanting to help, but there's so much like packed against you. Like the odds are so against you. Like nobody wants to hear it. Skeeter, Emma Stone's character, she's trying to get this message out, but the risks that they're taking, that's where all the tension comes into play. Really good. Is there anything you wanted to say?
I'm just thinking there, like when you mentioned Emma Stone playing Skeeter, I'm just like, this was just so perfectly cast. Like Emma Stone is the perfect person to play that character, like to play that kind of like sort of like confident, like kind of sort of vulnerable, like you know, kind, good-natured, like revolutionary kind of character. And she was like a lovely, and Jessica Chastain, sorry,
absolutely
so sweet.
Yeah.
Like
and you're
so nice.
You're so sad that no one likes it.
Yeah. It just makes you hate them even more, because you're just like, oh,
like why
you're excluding this like lovely person who is like just you know, like and that is so perfectly cast, because Jessica Chastain is like the perfect person to play that role, because she is so sweet. But the ending that packed a punch with me was really, and it's every time I see it, it still makes me just.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Is when Aibileen is leaving.
Yeah.
When she's leaving the little girl at the end, and she's like, "You was smart, you was special, and you was important," and it's just like, whoa, that's hits me right, like. And then she just leaves the house, and she just like, and it just follows her, like
the last shot
then the last shot is just
it's
just her walking down the road, and it's like Mary J. Blige's song comes on, and you're just like, oh, because she's like and there's like her inner monologue, it's like narration is like when she's like, her mom always said there was going to be a writer in the family, and then she just kind of smiles to herself. It's just like, I guess it's going to be me, and it's just like, yay. Like, it's a sweet, it's like quite a sweet ending. Like it's nice, it's quite like gives you that good night, as you say, like a good payoff.
Very good payoff. Another good payoff in the film is the ending scene with Emma Stone and Allison Janney. It is where she tells Skeeter how proud she is of her. After all the truth has come out about what happened with Constantine, their help, and the tragic story behind that. But they kind of understand each other. They understand what happened. She knows that she wrote this book, and she stood up for her when Bryce Dallas Howard's character came round to, shout at them. And then she says, she accepts that she's going away to New York to be a writer, and tells her how proud she is. And then there's a line in there that really stood out to me, and it's when she says, like, courage skips a generation. And I was like, oh, that's such a good line.
Yeah, that's a lovely line. And doesn't she get sick? Doesn't she, Alison Janney's character? She gets cancer.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I think it's kind of hinted at that she's recovering, or I don't know if they're being hopeful, or So that's a really good ending. And then we can't end this review without talking about the eat my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a brilliant scene. It's such a standout.
Yeah. It's so funny.
But it perfectly blends in, like Octavia Spencer's character perfectly blends in that humor, but also the slightly serious, like dramatic side. Like she's the perfect person to play again. Like, it's everybody's cast perfectly.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for reviewing that. Now it's the time where we recommend what films we're going to be reviewing next week. Okay. So, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first. Why not?
Yep.
Cool. So, the film I'm going to recommend you to watch for this week is a bit random, I have to say.
Yeah.
I have never spoken to you about it before, but it's something that I picked it because I kind of thought it's something that I like actually really, really like, and I don't think I've ever really spoke to anyone about it. Like, so I'm just kind of like, this is just something that I like people like, I think that I should share. So it's from 2009.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Jason Reitman, who is going to be directing Ghostbusters Afterlife, who's the son of Ivan Reitman.
Mm-hmm.
He directed in 2009 Up in the Air.
Up in the Air. Is that the... Hang on, I think I might be thinking of a different film. Which one is this?
George Clooney?
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And so it's George Clooney, Anna Kendrick, and I don't really want to tell. Like, I feel like it's best for us if I don't really go into like what it even is about. You kind of get a bit of an idea of like because it's called Up in the Air, like it might, it's something to do with flight. But no, it's funny. Like it's a funny film, but it's also like it's got quite a lot of like heavy themes. Like there's a lot of things at play. And you'll see whenever you watch it what I'm talking about. Like it's got a lot in there, it packs a lot in.
Okay.
But it's sleekly edited, and it's just like and George Clooney's performance, like it's the best I've seen of him. Like he's such a like obviously everyone knows that George Clooney's like a charming like gentleman, like but he just like he plays it so well. But yeah, no, I just thought I'd recommend it to you because it's I just thought it would be something that you would like. Like, I think that you will really like it, and I hope that you do. But
awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
Now, I was looking over some of the films that you haven't seen, that I have seen, and if anyone's listening and wondering how we know this, is a website that we use, and we can compare what films we have and haven't seen. So I can click on the list of films I have seen that Dale hasn't seen. And I couldn't quite believe that you hadn't seen this one. And I'm suspecting, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm suspecting that you saw this as a kid and can't quite remember it as an adult. So you haven't checked it off. That's just a guess.
Well, there's a few that I can think of that I'm like, yep, I've definitely thought that.
Because is that a thing that you would do? You wouldn't check it off if you can't remember it. Okay. So you might have seen this as a kid, but you have to rewatch it. E.T. It has to be done. One of the old.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, I thought I would be. You have to rewatch this film as an adult. It's so good. It's just an absolute masterpiece. There's just nothing else to say.
Okay, and that's all I need. And to be fair, like I'm glad again that you said E.T. That is great. Because it is. You're right. It's one of those like Spielberg films, and there's a few Spielberg films that I've seen when I'm younger that I haven't like rewatched again recently. Like I will admit, I'm not saying that. There's another one I was about to say, but I'm like, nah, I'll save it.
I know which one it is.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I have it written down.
Yeah. I didn't want to spoil it in case I'm wrong. I'm right. So no, that's good. I'm very happy with that. We're doing well so far with these recommendations.
Yeah, because I think it's a very enjoyable film. So I'm predicting that you're gonna like it. Yeah. Well, you obviously know the music and what it's about. Yeah. So. But I suspect you can't remember like the details. Is that right? Or...
I know. I'll admit that I know what happens towards the end.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is pretty common knowledge for a lot of.
Oh yeah, everybody knows what happens.
Yeah.
Because
But
it's just been shown so much on like adverts around Christmas and things like that.
Yeah. It doesn't detract from the film at all.
Oh,
but,
no way. And I actually had this same thing. Maybe it was about 5 years ago. I had seen it as a kid and not watched it as an adult, and I watched it, and I was just like blown away. So good.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to Up in the Air, and looking forward to hear what you have to say about ET next week. Cool. So we'll just quickly jump into some news stories, but we won't spend too much time on these. So our first news story is that the Oscars is potentially going to be delayed. Variety have an exclusive report on this where it says that they are considering postponing, but they're not sure what's going to happen. This is expected, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty expected, or at least it's expected that they're getting together and they're thinking about possible options, because it has to be done, because as we've said before to each other, like, we don't even know what it's going to look like in autumn, like the situation with movies and with the world and like society. We don't know what it's going to look like in autumn, let alone February, and it is going to be a very different landscape for films this year.
Do you know, this reminds me of that meme of the Best Picture nominees, and it's like all the films that came out in January and February.
Oh yeah. And what was it like? Best Picture, Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
The Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, Birds of Prey, The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
All going up for Best Picture. It's quite fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything else we need to talk about on this one, or it's just a wait and see thing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. They just don't really know what form it's going to take.
Yeah. As live streamed Oscars. Zoom Oscars.
Do you know what, Harry? Like, would that really surprise you now? Like, if that actually happened?
That would be hilarious.
I mean, like,
like watching I don't know, Margot Robbie get up in her living room with an Oscar, like giving a speech on Zoom.
I mean, yeah, like, and
obviously I'm not saying she would win. That's just an example.
yeah. Birds of Prey, Margot Robbie. No, can you imagine that? Everybody, all the people who are nominated get delivered a box, and then they all have to open their box, and whoever's got an Oscar in their box.
Oh yeah, that's like a Deal or No Deal type thing. Well, not really, but.
Can you imagine that? Oh dear. Yeah, no, Oscars, yeah. I always look forward. I know we both like we do look forward to the Oscars, like and it's just a night to celebrate film. I mean, it's not perfect, is it? The Oscars.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy always with the Oscars, but in the end I just want to like have a bit of fun with it. It's not, I never take it too seriously, even though it's extremely hard to win an Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, you respect the fact that like the people who do win, like they deserve it, because they are like
a lot of work,
masters in that craft.
Yeah.
Like, and they did, and it's a big thing for them. Like, if anyone, most people, if they would win an Oscar, they'd be like, this is just, I know I've done a really like good job here.
And it's quite fun to just predict who's going to win and things like that. But it does go on for a long time. It's a very long show. It can be really cheesy or awkward.
And it's very hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still fun to get excited about. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, quickly on this next one. Mahershala Ali has posted it's sort of a artist impression of what himself as Blade is going to look like. He posted it on Instagram. Just adding to the hype, we haven't forgotten about this film. It's still coming. Yeah. We're still thinking about it. I think he's quite excited about it. What do you think about the photo? Oh,
I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
like the way that it's drawn, and it's on like the white background, and he's got like kind of like Mahershala Ali, like kind of cool little smile going.
It's very cool that the MCU has got Mahershala Ali to play Blade. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's and it's just, it kind of just gives you the sense now of the MCU, like they're increasingly able to get who they want to play.
Bale. Christian Bale, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Who else that is like really high?
Kate Blanchett was like the villain in Thor Ragnarok. That's pretty.
Thor have had some incredible actors like Sir Anthony Hopkins. Like,
I mean, yeah, Anthony Hopkins playing Odin is really cool.
And that was really early on as well. That was like in phase 1.
And even when you think about it now, like Idris Elba was a supporting character. Like,
yeah, they've had such a great cast.
Yeah,
but no, Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali twice. Is he a 2-time winner?
Yeah, he won for Moonlight and for Green Book.
Green Book, yeah.
Wow. I think it was supporting twice.
Yeah. Very cool. And
what
another
did you think
actor who has won supporting twice that is not in the MCU is Christoph Waltz, and I would love him to be in the MCU.
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, that would be my dream casting for a villain in the MCU.
Yeah, it could happen down the line.
What
are your thoughts on the image that he posted?
Like? Yeah, it just kind of tells me that they're still thinking about it. You know, it's still coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
We haven't forgotten about this film. It's coming.
It's like pushing it back on our radar again. Like, you know, giving us a little. Because we haven't really heard much about it since really Comic-Con, like the announcement. So
then this kind of quickly leads into another topic that we haven't got down here, but we can touch on it slightly, is that they're going to be starting production pretty soon. Apparently, like next week in Hollywood. I don't know what's happening there. So, Blade, you know, pre-production.
Yeah, that's really good news.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
It'll probably be phased, won't it? It'll be like short. Like they'll be trying to get in as little people as possible to do what they can.
Like so, they'll probably. I think I read somewhere. Don't quote me on this. They're going to have a set of guidelines to go by. The California government is going to release like a set of guidelines for them to adhere to.
Yeah, I would expect that now from most workplaces. To be fair. That would have to be a requirement. But it'll change. And do you know what? It is quite good news that's a possibility now that we're going to get things up and running again soon. Obviously, safety first.
Yeah, and I'm sure if there is a problem, like there's another peak, an outbreak, it'll just all shut down again.
Yeah.
Which is good. Okay, that's the end of the news segment. And we'll be moving into our main discussion topic of the week, which is the Snyder Cut has been announced. And after we've discussed this, we're going to talk a little bit about the DCEU and our overall thoughts, what films we like, what we don't like, and how we feel it's moving forward. So this Snyder Cut, it's been a thing. It's been a hashtag for years, hasn't it? Release the Snyder Cut. Like even like Ben Affleck tweeted it.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Jason Momoa has been screaming it into his Instagram, like release the Snyder Cut. Like, you know, it's a real.
It seemed.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. You go on ahead.
I was just going to say it's been a cut. Snyder has had a cut of the film. It's just that to get the film out, to actually release it, he would need $20-30 million to complete the film, because there's special effects shots missing, and it's apparently 4 hours or something crazy. 4.5 hours maybe. I don't know.
Actually,
there's entire subplots missing, like a villain that's wasn't even in the final cut, Darkseid. Like entire storylines that were just missing. But at least that's what I've read. So
yeah,
it seems to me that 30 million isn't enough to complete the film. Why is it not like 50 million? But I guess they have to have a budget. So.
And do you know what? It's kind of. I was just gonna say before. It's quite nice that the cast are getting behind Zack Snyder, because obviously, like, he did go through a lot. Like, he did lose his daughter.
Exactly.
Didn't he? Yeah. And it's it's quite nice that he gets to now go back and revisit and kind of show the world what he like
His
would have
vision was.
ideally wanted to make this film. Because I have to say, like, and I Justice League is really disappointing.
Oh, it's awful.
Like,
It's one of the worst films. One of the worst. Because of what it represents, like the Justice League film, it should be cool. It should be like entertaining. It should be epic. And it was a financial flop. It was a financial flop. It made no sense. The villain was terrible. Like
CGI villain. Was it the Kieran Hines that played that silly villain?
Oh man, it's just, and when you compare it to the MCU, you have to compare it. It should have been the Avengers of the DCU, and it was just terrible. I know we're not saying here that his Snyder Cut's gonna be good. It could still be bad.
Oh yeah.
But it's nice that he gets to release something that he would have done back then.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's also, I'll quickly touch on this. It's quite nice that he has a director's cut for Batman v Superman, which does drastically improve Batman v Superman, in my opinion. And then to have that trilogy, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, director's cut, and now the Snyder Cut of Justice League, to have that complete like vision, even if people don't like exactly what has happened with Superman or things like that, you know how Superman. This is spoilers for the DCEU. Superman dies at the end of Batman v Superman. A lot of people did not like that decision. But it's nice to have the complete story that he wanted to tell now.
Yeah, and going about Superman's death, I was just thinking, like, there was so many decisions taken with the release of Justice League that I feel were like quite. Looking back on it in hindsight now, I feel like a lot of people are probably thinking, why did we even decide to do that? Like the idea that, you know, Superman had died, but then there was like the hope at the end of and the after. I don't know if it was a post-credit scene that there was like the rubble was like
that was the last shot of the film.
Yeah. So like, you're thinking, well, it's hitting that he's alive, and then he wasn't involved in any of the marketing for a long time for any of Justice League. It was like they pretended.
Yeah,
it was like they pretended, but we were all like, "Well, we're
we
here
know
now,
he's coming back."
Yeah, well, we're hearing about the reshoots and that he's having to get his like CGI mustache, like his upper lip, like, you know, we're hearing about all of that, and you're still pretending that he's not in the film. Like he wasn't even in the posters, like he was just not in the trailers, like. And then I feel like whenever it was about to get released, or towards like the week of it was released, they just started adding Superman into like posters and like marketing materials, and it's just like
better shopping him in the background.
Well, yeah, like it was just like slapping him in now, and it's like, well, we all knew he was going to come back. It sort of reminds me of like, no, I was going to say Game of Thrones, but I don't want to talk about Game of Thrones spoilers in this. But it sort of reminded me a bit of that. You know what happens in Game of Thrones when we all knew someone was going to come back. No, Justice League, really disappointing for me.
And I also, sorry, finish your sentence. I've got a thought.
What was I going to say? No, you go ahead.
So I was going to say that. Sorry about that, but I was going to say that comparing like how a superhero goes away then comes back. There's like two instances where I feel it was done so much better. Not the character didn't necessarily die, but they went away and came back. And in Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi films, he hangs up his suit for a while and then comes back, and it's done in such a good way. And then in also The Dark Knight, how he disappears for like 8 years and then he has to come back, and it's different. It's different context because the character isn't dead, but the way that it's done in Justice League, it's just like, oh, he's dead, now he's back, he's evil, we fight him, now he's good. It's just so rushed, is what I'm trying to say.
It's really rushed, like. This was the introduction really to Aquaman and the Flash. I mean, there were brief cameos in Batman v Superman, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then like on the videotape that Bruce Wayne was looking at, but then they're like fully in this film, and like even that, like
Cyborg was a letdown.
Cyborg as well. I mean, I actually like had forgotten about Cyborg. That's how much of an impact he'd made on me.
Yeah.
So, and I have only seen it once. I actually went to see it in the cinema.
Same.
And to be honest, like overall plot, like I kind of know what happens, but other than that, I don't really remember much detail.
And it makes no sense because, like, I don't know whether this was Joss Whedon or not, but some of the characters just act completely differently than they did in other films. Like Batman, for instance, just a different character.
Yeah, doesn't he get like quite like a bit cockier and a bit more like, you know,
Jokey, yeah.
Jokey, and he's like trying to flirt with Wonder Woman and stuff, and you're just a bit like, like. That's one thing though, is Gal Gadot is quite consistent. Like she is.
Oh yeah, she's good in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that like she's carried on from her role in the Wonder Woman, which we can talk about a bit later. But no, overall, like Justice League should have been this epic that we all like had been wanting to see for a long time.
And now it might be.
It could be, and I hope it is, for closure's sake.
Yeah.
I
hope the Snyder Cut is going to be good.
Yeah. So the original thing was, I remember hearing this, was that it was going to be split into two films, wasn't it? And that's probably why then that Zack Snyder's got that for our runtime, maybe for his Snyder Cut.
Well, he tweeted that he hasn't even seen the theatrical cut. That's crazy. And then he also tweeted that what we saw, or what he thinks we saw, was probably, this was his words, probably about a quarter of what he shot. So, like,
yeah,
it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It was all the DCEU. Like, to be fair, like it just was really messy for a while. And it just feels like that now. It feels like they're just trying to course correct, and they
have new leadership. They have new leadership. Yeah. And they've kind of steered away from the Justice League, and they're doing these other films, like separate storylines. Yeah, like Shazam and Aquaman, Wonder Woman.
No.
She's the one thing that they've stuck with from Justice League.
Yeah, and it's just like the tone that they were going for. Like it was all so dark and dull and dreary and like really, really sad and like
especially
like,
Batman v Superman.
And the color palette, like the gray and like, if you think in your head about like Batman v Superman here, like the color of that film, and you think about that, and then you put Wonder Woman, it's just like, you know, it changes so much. Like Wonder Woman is like just. It's brighter and it's like this change and it's like
it's even
fresh.
It's got that tone even during World War One, like, which is an incredibly dark time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The stuff in World War One, Wonder Woman is like brighter than like, you know, scenes in Bruce's cave with Alfred, like, you know, it's all just so like negative and
I actually. I don't think Batman v Superman is a good film. I think it's a bad film. But I can watch it and enjoy it with the extended cut. I can actually enjoy that film, even though I think it's bad. It's like I still like some elements of it, and I can put it on and watch it. Like I think it's quite rewatchable, even though it's bad. I don't know if that makes sense. But what is your favorite film, the DCEU?
I just want to say quickly, I haven't seen the extended cut of Batman v Superman.
Oh, you should watch it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I feel like I need to have a day of like extended cuts.
There's a lot more Superman in the extended version.
Yeah,
it's good because Batman v Superman feels a bit like a Batman film. With Superman as a side character. But it actually feels more like Batman versus Superman with the extended cut. Like it's their more equal screen time. Yeah. It's still not equal, but it's more so like that, which is really, really good. So definitely worth a watch. What are your thoughts on Man of Steel?
Would like to rewatch again soon to get more of an understanding of it. because my judgment of it now is from when it was released, which was what, 2013?
12, I think.
Was it? Around then, anyway.
Around then, yeah.
Like coming up to like
13
years
yeah.
or so now.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I really like that film. Like more now than I did then.
Yeah. And this is just my opinion. I personally think that Amy Adams was miscast as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I know she's a great actress and she does like what she can with it, but for me, I didn't really she wasn't really who I had in mind, and it just didn't really work for me. Like I just can't help it. Like it's just like how I feel about it. But I obviously really like Henry Cavill as Superman. Like I think that he just like, if you think about who Superman is and what he looks like, then it's just Henry Cavill is what you would like expect.
Yeah.
From what I remember about Man of Steel, like I liked it at the time, but it wasn't like, you know, something I would scream from the rafters about.
You might like it better now, you know, because the stakes of, if you understand, like he's an alien that's come to Earth. He's struggling to find out who he is. Sorry. He's been told by his foster dad or his dad to not use his powers, you know. When he, you know, he's got all these conflicting emotions, and then he faces his past. They come to exterminate him. General Zod comes to kill him. It's like really intense and quite a good story. And he has to go through all this because Superman. The classic Superman is a beacon of hope, but he's not there yet. That's what's so good about Man of Steel. He's not there yet. He's like struggling to figure out, you know, who he is, and he has all this to deal with. I think it's a really good Superman film. My favorite Superman film. Yeah.
Nice. And
obviously another thing that makes me biased towards it is the score. Hans Zimmer score is just incredible.
Yeah. And it's the most famous one that I play quite a bit, but I can never name it off. It's like, why do we?
What would you do if you're not saving the world or something like that?
Yeah. It's quite long. I'm always like, oh, I know it, and then I forget it. I'll definitely rewatch that again soon.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna rewatch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Extended, and then watch the Snyder Cut when it comes out, like in a row, just to see his complete vision. I'm excited to do that. So yeah, I think it's going to be on HBO Max in 2021. So
nice.
It makes sense. Other DCEU films worth mentioning. You've not seen Shazam or Aquaman, have you? Are those the two that you've not seen?
Yeah, I haven't seen Shazam or Aquaman.
Shazam's quite good. I mean, it is what it is. It's not anything crazy special, but it's fun in my opinion. And then Aquaman, I've only seen the first half of Aquaman, or up to about halfway through it. And I actually really liked it from what I saw. I don't know why I never finished that film, but it's really good.
Sort of, it made so much as well. It was really unexpected. It was 1.1 or 1.2 billion. Was it?
Yeah,
what?
And Aquaman's like, it used to be I don't know if you remember, but when we were growing up, like in the 90s or whatever, like Aquaman used to laugh at him, like he was the worst superhero ever.
Yeah,
everyone used to laugh at him.
No, like it wasn't. Nobody, and even recently, like years ago, like I would have just thought of Aquaman and thought. It was sort of a bit like Ant-Man as well in the MCU. Like whenever you hear about Ant-Man, you're like, what?
It sounds so stupid.
Sounds silly, but
they pull it off. They pull it off really well.
Yeah.
And what other films? Obviously, we touched on Wonder Woman. One of my least favorite films ever made is Suicide Squad. I hate that film. I feel like David Ayer got done dirty. Jared Leto got done dirty. Like, it was edited by they hired a music video editing company to edit that film. Like,
you can see that.
It's disgusting. It's a disgrace.
There are so many moments where they just like, you know, it is sort of like that. There's just the music, like they play a new song, like, oh, let's play a Queen song, and then it's just like cuts of them just like walking and like doing things, and Harley Quinn just being Harley Quinn. That was one of to be fair, I remember going to see that. I went to see it in Belfast, and I remember going with my cousin, and I remember it was one of those films where I thought in my head I could easily just walk out now.
Yeah, it's give me a headache just thinking about it. Yeah,
I just felt really bored.
And I'm so excited for the soft reboot James Gunn.
Yeah. It's sort of like he puts the in front of it, and he's like the Suicide Squad. And he's like, this is what I would have done. Like, you know, this is
this is how you make it. This is how you make a film.
Yeah.
How awesome is it that he's doing Marvel and DC? Very cool.
Yeah. You know, just speaking of James Gunn, how funny is it that he wrote Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed? I was just watching the I just came into my head and I had to say it. I was just watching Everything Wrong With. Shout out to them, I love those. I was watching that Everything Wrong With video, and it was like talking about how James Gunn had written. I
actually think the scripts for those movies are pretty funny. I mean, they're stuck in like 2000 sense of humor, and James Gunn, obviously, there was the whole controversy with his old sense of humor. You can definitely see there's like some controversial jokes in there.
Yeah,
and it's quite funny that that's in a Scooby-Doo movie. But I actually find it quite hilarious, actually.
I mean, it's just fun to look back at it now, and to be fair, like, I can't believe we've just gone straight into Scooby-Doo movies in the middle of our DCEU talk.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up quickly, but it's funny.
I could go back and watch those and laugh at them the whole way through, because they're just it's the nostalgia as well.
It's like how the love interest of Shaggy is called Mary Jane.
Like, yeah, that links to.
It's hilarious.
And the first time you see Shaggy and Scooby, like, you just see the Mystery Machine and there's like smoke coming out of it, and all. It's like they're like
like they're hotboxing.
It's like they're hotboxing the Mystery Machine. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, there was a link because there was a James Gunn link, so it's a stretch. Yeah. So anyway, back to
the Suicide Squad. Looking forward to that. What else? Is there Flashpoint? Who knows if that's even going to come out?
That's another thing. We haven't discussed Ezra Miller. Have you heard about that?
How he like punched? Didn't he punch a fan or something?
Yeah, there's a video of it. I've watched the video. He gets drunk in Iceland because apparently they were about to start shooting Fantastic Beasts 3. Yeah. And he was in Iceland, so his whole isolation period, like he's been in Iceland in quarantine. In lockdown, and
he's in a bar and he like
got drunk at a bar, and like this fan comes up to him and he's like, you want to fight with me in the video and all, and he's like floors the person to the ground. Like he tries to punch them and like knocks him to the ground.
The thing is with a video, like, this isn't excusing what he did, but obviously we weren't there, we don't know the full context. There might be, I mean, there can't be a logical explanation for wanting to do that to someone, but maybe there is something that would help us understand why it happened. But
I mean,
I'm surprised he's not been sacked from Warner Brothers. I don't know.
That's the thing too. We don't know. You're right. We don't know whether that video was staged, like, or whether, like, we don't know if it was a friend that was like kind of joking around. Like, I mean, to be fair, like.
I mean, it's a
bit weird pushing your friends to the bar.
It seems pretty obvious what happened, but like we said, we weren't there. We can't make a full judgment on it. But from that being an image of one of your stars, I'm just surprised that he's not been sacked. Like,
I know,
It's like the How to Train Your Dragon. They recast T.J. Miller because he got in a fight on a tube or something. He was drunk on a tube making a fight. You just don't want that associated with your film.
Yeah, there's a lot of TJ Miller there. I think he made like bomb threats to people and things. Like it was quite serious. No, with Ezra Miller, yeah. So he's an integral part of Fantastic Beasts as well.
Yeah.
So,
but they can just recast him. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Also feels a bit like Warner Brothers might have been kind of like, well, it's in the middle of lockdown. Let's try and brush it under the carpet. Like, let's.
Yeah, maybe.
There was no reply. I don't think from either of them, from Ezra Miller or Warner Brothers.
I'm not liking what I'm hearing about Ezra Miller and how he's like trying to take control of the Flash movie and things like that. I just think you're an actor, mate.
Yeah,
like, you're not hired as a producer.
Yeah.
You know? You mean you obviously he's clearly allowed to pitch things and do that, but like I don't understand why Warner Brothers are putting up with that. But this is all what I've heard from news stories, so you can't, you know.
Yeah, it's just finishing on Ezra Miller. It just kind of feels like it does make me feel a bit like disappointed and sad because, like, first time I was sort of exposed to Ezra Miller was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And that's one of my favorite films.
Yeah, that is a great film.
So it's just it makes me feel quite disappointed. But hopefully it's not like it's
it's nothing like extremely career-ending and serious. Like he can come back from this and he can redeem himself.
Yeah,
you always got to give him a chance or give people a chance.
People make mistakes. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm still surprised he hasn't been sacked from the film. Like, you just don't want that image. But I guess because the film's so far away, maybe everyone will forget about it. Has he made an apology? I don't even know that.
I don't think so.
Really? Is there any other DCEU films worth mentioning?
I think we're. I did quite like Wonder Woman, and I mean, I think we briefly talked about it before, but like the third act.
The third act is a bit disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff with like David Thewlis's character becoming like that thing that she was worried about the whole time. It was kind of like, oh, really? Like, okay, this is quite lame. But like. But no, the first part of it, I really like Chris Pine as well. Like he plays that kind of nice kind of person that's introducing her to all these different things, and it's quite some quite sweet scenes that like he's describing things to her and she doesn't really have a clue. Like, you know, there's that funny scene in the cave where like talking about his watch and all, and she's like staring at him because he's getting out of the bath and all. It's like quite funny. Also, and like supporting cast, and her name is Robin Wright was really, really good.
Yes,
that's another thing as well. She was rumored, didn't she? She could be in the SNYDER Cut because she was supposed to have filmed scenes for Justice League. Like she did film scenes for Justice League.
Right. Okay.
So, and she wasn't in like this theatrical, was she?
No. All right. Quickly mention Birds of Prey. That was all right. Didn't really need to be rated R.
It's just an opportunity there.
And then future films, I'll quickly list out what's to come. We have Wonder Woman 1984, The Suicide Squad. We've got Black Adam, The Flash, maybe Shazam 2, apparently, and Aquaman 2. So, yeah. And then aside from that, we've got The Batman, which is separate to the DCEU. So, or at least we think it is. Yeah. It would be quite cool if it was like a prequel to Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be quite cool, but they don't need to tie it in, really, do they?
No.
So yeah, that's the DCEU. Any final thoughts?
Also, yeah, final thoughts. I know it's sort of DCEU, but it's kind of standalone. Joker,
yeah, it's standalone, but can't not mention it.
Yeah, I couldn't like not mention it. Yeah. Phenomenal film.
Oh yeah, that like transcends the comic book genre.
Yeah.
So.
And it's really hard hitting.
Oh,
And I remember it,
brutal. Yeah.
and it was just it was such a like big film at the time, and it kind of broke out more than anyone I think even expected. Like, who would have thought that like Joker would make the same amount of money as like the last in film in the Skywalker saga, like The Rise of Skywalker. Like an R-rated film about Joker would make around the same as The Rise of Skywalker.
It just shows you how popular.
What?
It just shows you how well. Obviously, they need to make a great film to begin with, but it just shows you how popular the character is, Joker. Like, and that is testament to years of great comics, and especially Heath Ledger's performance. I think just elevated the character into like the stratosphere.
Yeah.
So it's not unexpected, really.
He really is one of the most recognizable villains now, like in the world. Like he's and that kind of different origin story and the focus on like his mental health was so important, and the way that society like can often treat people.
Are they doing a second one?
I think that Joaquin has made hints that he would be up for it, which is very rare and very.
Do you know what I'd like to see? Do you know what I'd like to see? You know, you're right. Sorry, it is rare that Joaquin he gets into it like that. Yeah. You're right. But I was just gonna say that I'd love to see him kind of become more of like a criminal mastermind. I know that that's like the classic Joker thing, but to see it done with that style would be cool.
Yeah, I suppose like, and you're like, that's quite good thought actually, because like to see his rise as like the feared clown, like that he sort of is in the Dark Knight, and that's sort of like the way he kind of rises up to become like the mastermind behind this group, like, and he really rallies people.
You're right, and what Joker does so well, it just shows you how someone could become the Joker.
Yeah,
like in our society, very well done.
A very memorable film that like will be like culturally significant. I feel like, you know, it'll become like kind of a classic that we will look back on in years to come and think that was like a really important film to come out at that time. And going to see it as well, like the cinema was packed. Like I haven't seen it that packed in like a long time for films.
Did you go? Were you in Northern Ireland when you went?
Yeah, it was in Northern Ireland, Noma, and it was like, I have to say, it was like 3 weeks after it came out, and it was like a Saturday evening, and there was not a single seat left. It was sold out. Like that's how much of like a impact this film had. Like it was huge at the time. Like and the people who never, whenever a film is quite big, whenever people who don't really talk about films or go to the cinema much are like, oh, have you been to see Joker and all? I'm going to see it. Like, and they're like, that's when you know that like, and that like a film has like really reached heights, and it's like people are just talking about it. Like everyone's talking about it. So no,
I wonder what the next one will be. Tenet, maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah. Haven't watched the new trailer, by the way. Just.
I might do a reaction to the trailer and put it on the channel. Maybe. Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that concludes our discussion on the DCEU. Even though it was a little bit more than the DCEU. Are you okay for time?
Yeah, of course.
Okay for time. Yeah. Okay. Let's carry on. So we haven't got too much longer left. But for our second topic, I thought it would be fun if we just brought up a few of our favorite film scores, maybe. I'm not, obviously my favorites are very obvious. It's like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and things like that. But I'm not going to mention them. I'm going to pick 3 scores that I love that I don't really talk about that often. So, have you got 3 as well?
Yeah, I have 3, and they're really random. Like, I mean,
that's
not
perfect. That's the best thing. It's interesting discussion then.
Yeah, and I know that they're not like the best scores in the world, but like they're things that like I've just had with me for a long time or for a while. 2 of them at least.
That's great. Yeah.
So yeah.
So do you want to go first?
Well, we do one at a time.
Yeah, why not?
Like, yeah. So my first one, and I don't know if I've ever spoke to you about this, is so this film came out in 2003. It's The Chronicles of Narnia and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Okay, yeah. No, I actually really like that film.
Yeah, I've got memory of seeing it in the cinema. I went to see it with like a school. It wasn't like a school trip. It was like a youth trip or something. I was with other friends, and it was around Christmas time it came out, and I remember just like it was. I still remember the cinema experience, and like how important, like how amazing it was, and it felt really epic because I was so young. And now when I watch
epic film. It's a
now when I watch it, it's still epic, but like when I watched it when I was younger, it felt like this level of epic. But
same.
It's like
same. Yeah.
It's like okay, like it's still
for a kid's film. The scope of that film, like how the third act turns into that huge war, and it's pretty
emotional.
It's pretty big for a kid's film. Yeah,
it is, and it's Harry Gregson Williams did the score for this film, and I remember like this film and the next film I'm going to talk about really are two films like from my childhood, and I feel like the reason why this one really sticks out is because it was sort of like one of the first scores that like are really memorable to me and that I kind of like have carried on through. You know, like I listened to it on YouTube sometimes, like over the years, like growing up, because it wasn't on Spotify, and it's now on Spotify, which is great. So it's gone straight into my like score list. It's just quite a nice, relaxing score, like, and it sort of like comes quite epic. Like you know, one of the really standouts is the
I like your,
you know,
I like when he's motion.
when James McAvoy's doing the Narnia lullaby, it's so good. I'm like, and then
James
there's
McAvoy is such a good actor.
And Tilda Swinton's in that film as well. Oh, she's great.
She's such a good villain.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's amazing in everything.
I always remember like those random scene in that film, like when Santa Claus comes and gives them weapons. It's like so weird.
That's right,
because he comes and gives them like a bow and arrow or something.
They think it's the White Witch, and they're like running, and it's like turns up and it's like
Christmas.
Hello, peasants. Yeah.
I just remember thinking that was so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And like
I don't know if that's in the book or not. Probably.
Yeah. And the beavers and all that, so good. But yeah, that score, it's kind of stuck with me for a long time, and I really really like it, and it makes me feel quite nostalgic and.
Yeah, like, I mean, it came out when we were growing up, didn't it? So it's going to have an impact on us.
Yeah. So it's always stuck with me, and it's just I had to mention it in that.
But you're right, it is random.
I told you it was
random. So the first one I'm going to mention is like probably one of the most recognizable film scores ever, but I just love it so much, and it's Jurassic Park. It's just so good. Like that soundtrack when they first go to the island, and he's like, welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's just It's so good. I just love it. Amazing film. Do you like? I take it you like that film score as well.
No, I do. Yeah. And it's such an iconic theme. Like it's just, you know, I'm a teacher, and like, you know, the children I teach absolutely love that score. I remember playing it for them one day, and they thought it was brilliant. Like because they were like, "Can you play the Jurassic Park theme?" It's so nice, and like it's such an iconic scene as well. You know what?
John Williams.
You know what? That first scene when they're all in the pickup, or like in the truck, and then they look over and they see the dinosaurs for the first time, and it like music like swells in.
Yeah.
And you just see their reactions. Like that is like one of the most iconic scenes in cinema for me.
It is epic. Yeah.
It's amazing. But no, I absolutely love that score, and I play it quite often.
All right, what's your next one?
Right, okay. This one is I have 4 down here, and I'm actually stray a wee bit from one of them. I'm just going to pick 3. The next one I'm going to talk about is About Time.
Fantastic film. Fantastic.
So, yeah, so it's by Nick Laird-Clowes, who is not like a big known composer. Like he's quite he's a musician, he's a songwriter, but I think he's composed the score for this film. But like that, I had to pick it because it's like one of my like go-to like things that I would listen to if I go to my score. Like I will always like it'll be something I'll never skip. Like
If anyone is listening to this and they haven't seen About Time, please watch it.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I can second that. Please go and watch that right now. Turn this off.
It's like one of the great rom-coms ever made.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite rom-com.
Yeah,
because it's got like kind of like time travel-y like element to it as well.
Yeah.
Light spoilers there, but I feel like a lot of people
that's. I mean, it's about
time, and it's like that clever title as well. Like it's about time.
Yeah,
and it's about time. Like it's great. But yeah, that score is like something I'll never skip, and it's something I always like love to listen to, and I listen to quite often. And yeah, it was really memorable when I watched the film. I immediately was like, and I do this quite a bit to be fair. I'll immediately let it go and Spotify the score if I quite like it. So yeah, what's your number 2?
Number 2, Clint Mansell, The Fountain.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Have you? I know you've not seen it, but have you listened to the score?
Yeah, I have. I think you've
maybe I was playing
years ago, or like you've I think you've actually recommended this film to me too before. Isn't it a Darren Aronofsky film?
Yeah. It's a pretty unique film. It's quite. It touches on like the spirit and life after death and reincarnation, and how souls are paired throughout eternity, things like that. So it's very, very deep film.
Yeah.
But the score's so good. Just like I always listen to it. It's just very. It's like it's like a universal theme of life after death, and the score's perfect for it. So that's really.
Need to get that watched.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could do it as a you recommended this segment, like maybe. It's spoilers though. Yeah, or maybe not. Maybe it'd be better. Maybe it'd be better to keep it separate if it's already been discussed. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So my number 3.
Yeah.
See, I've written down a few, and I'm
just mention both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other one that's really like mine. Yeah, I've picked really obscure. I think I've like gone like really, really obscure. So, but like, they're ones that I remember, and I haven't really talked much about. My next one is Chicken Run. You said it's all you me around. Another thing that's came out in 2000, so it like has been with me, and it's like and there's so many memorable pieces in this film. Like there's the start of it, like and then there's like the whole lift off at the end, and like there's the stuff with Rocky, and like another thing.
I love that Rocky's voiced by Mel Gibson.
I know, and that's what I was going to say. It's another thing I'm worried about, but I'm not worried. Like, but I mean, like, is Rocky going to be in Chicken Run 2? Like, and is he going to be voiced by Mel Gibson? I hope so. But then again, I'm like, will Aardman really want that? But anyway, it was done. The score is by John Powell and Harry Gregson Williams, and Harry Gregson Williams did the score for Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
And John Powell, who we both love, is
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first introduction to John Powell way back then, and I remember always like loving the score. Like obviously didn't have Spotify, YouTube, and things really then. But I remember like every time I used to like maybe like hum and like whistle the score and stuff when I was younger.
Keep talking, mate. I'm just gonna close my window.
Okay. Yeah. So. The other one I was going to mention that I couldn't decide is, and this is another random one, is Kingsman. I really like the score for Kingsman, The Secret Service. So yeah, that's by Henry Jackman.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just loads of like things in that score that I will always go back to and listen to, like The Manners Maketh Man. like that. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da. Like it's quite epic and like quite like a fun, like nice,
Yeah.
and it's uplifting
What
as
a good
well.
film. What a
It's
good
always
film.
it always makes me feel like this is the thing with these scores. Like I pick things that like always like put me in a, like a nice like positive good mood. Like when I listen to it, I'm like yeah, like
That's good. That's great. Yeah.
So no, and there's yeah. Anyway, I'll let you go.
No, but it's good. Like passionate about the film scores. I love it too. It's
Yeah,
it's an important part of the film.
yeah.
And my last one I was going to mention is Blade Runner Vangelis.
Nice.
I don't know how you say it. Vangelis. Yeah, it's just like it's like the film would be not as you need that score to it just makes the film so epic. Like that score's just incredible. You've seen the first Blade Runner, haven't you?
Yeah, and I feel like you're like in terms of that score, like it goes like it's tightly hand in hand with the film. Like there's in terms of scores that
I
like,
can
just
listen to
perfectly.
it. I can listen to it just on its own all the time. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorites. Very epic. It's cool that it's Vangelis as well. He hasn't done many. It might be. Is it the only? Oh no, he did Chariots of Fire, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
But he's rarely done many other films or rarely did any other films. So yeah,
Still
very
alive.
cool. Yeah, but I don't know. Is he still alive? I need to Google this.
Yeah. Just thought that there. I was like, oh, what is he?
Yeah, he's alive. He's 77. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, very, very epic. And then obviously Blade Runner 2049, Hans Zimmer. Need to mention that as well. That's really good. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it's still good. So yeah.
I can't have a topic about scores without quickly mentioning Lost. Michael Giacchino, who, in my opinion, is one of my favorite scorers of all time. Like it's
he's done so
especially
many.
for a TV show. Like it's just so good. Like
Hurley's handouts.
You're gonna bring that up. Yeah, running gags since like uni. Like, but no. Moving on. I defy anyone to listen to like the track "Moving On" and not feel the power of that. Like, and the way that he blended like so many different like themes that have from the start of Lost and put it all into "Moving On." Like, I remember just hearing it for the first time, just thinking like, "Thank you," like this or this like,
"Thank you very much."
Thank you for like just this like epic, like emotional, like ending, like track that just
yeah, I love Moving On as well.
Yeah,
it's a great track.
Yeah, but no, I just had to mention that because that is probably like in my top 3 of all time scores.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, that concludes our score discussion, which was a lot of fun. Thank you. And then for the final segment of the show, if we just like run down some of the things we've been watching or listening to or playing or whatever in the last week. I'll go first. So I've watched quite a lot of films this week, actually. I watched the new Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg film on Netflix, Spencer Confidential, which was, I mean, it's like a very predictable film.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but it's kind of like what it says in the tin kind of thing. Like what you expect.
It's like there's a load of corruption and he's got to save the day. But it was fun. I had a fun time with it. I wouldn't say it's like the greatest thing ever. It was fun. Okay. And I'm a big fan of like the Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg like pairing with their other films. Then I watched Slumdog Millionaire again, which was awesome. Like, how good is Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah, it's a fantastic film.
Yeah. It's quite a stressful film. I forgot how, like, oh god.
Yeah, it is stressful.
And then I watched probably one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life, The Last House on the Left remake with Aaron Paul.
Oh, I haven't. I don't think I've even heard of that.
Yeah, it's
Like the
like
remake?
the Wes Craven 80s film, The Last House on the Left, which I don't think is very good. I've not seen it, but I think people like it. It was a remake, and I mean, it's just there's if anyone's listening and they've seen it, they know what I'm talking about. Where the first section of the film, it just goes on for so long, and it's brutal to get through. It's like it's just the opposite of entertaining. All right, and then rewatched Knives Out again last night as well, which is so rewatchable, so good. Like, great acting, love it. Great script.
Just as good in the second watch, isn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously I've been still playing Red Dead, still watching The Office, playing a bit of Warzone, and that's it this week. What about you?
I'm very, very light compared to you. Like, I can't really think of much, to be honest. I've been like just busy doing
just the
other things and procrastinating.
Scrolling through Netflix.
Scrolling whenever I should be watching, yeah. But no, I am very, in my Office lockdown watch, I am very far on now, actually. I'm nearly finished season 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm still on season 2.
Yeah, and it's slowly creeping up there, become one of my favorite shows. Like, just because of how much I care about the characters and the time that I've watched it as well, like during lockdown, like it'll always be in that, like I'll always relate it to that now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it'll always be kind of like, oh yeah, like this is, I remember like what, like I had this journey on The Office during lockdown, which was for me, like I've been wanting to watch The Office for ages, so 3 years, and it's just, it always feels like, because there's so much, like it's like 200 episodes. It always feels like a lot, yeah. But
it's a hefty show.
But yeah, nearly there. So
decent.
Yeah. And other than that, like I can't really think of anything else that I've watched recently.
Just The Thing.
The Thing, yeah, Thingy. Forever known as Thingy.
Yeah. I don't know why. I watched so much. I've done so much this week.
Yeah, you've really stepped it up a gear this week.
I don't know why I've seen so much. Like,
yeah,
I don't usually watch that many films in a week, but
yeah.
I used to back in uni. I'd watch sometimes 3 a day.
Yeah. I remember that as well. I remember like there would be a time where I like would be annoyed if I didn't watch a film in a day. I'd be like, oh, I've went the whole day and I haven't watched a film today. Oh, like like.
I remember thinking, like, I just need to keep watching one every single day until I've seen the whole top 250 IMDb. I never finished it. I never finished. I got to 200, and I never did the final 50.
200?
Yeah. Got to 200. Yeah. And it was like it was like going through films that I would never have picked, but I just said, because it's in the 250, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'd have been scrolling up and down the 250, like, and then before I knew it, like, too late. That's all good though.
Yeah. So I think that'll about do it for this week. So thanks a lot. We got a lot covered.
Yeah, we did. Good chat.
Yeah, good chat. So look forward to next week. Where we discuss those films that we suggested, Up in the Air and E.T. Looking forward to those discussions and whatever news and whatever topics we decide upon next week. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Dale.